was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the challenges of playing such iconic characters, research you did, talking to people that knew them, and how that helped you inform your performances.
There's a lot of anecdotal information that kept coming to us. There were people who knew Walt, and they still have access to the studio because I think they still have their, their cards that let them on stage. They searched this out. Richard Sherman was a never-ending, literally never-ending fountain of stories, of facts, of anecdotes, of bits and pieces of everything that had happened. And Diane Disney Miller, his daughter, gave me unlimited access to the archives in the museum in San Francisco. Made a couple of visits there, so I had a lot of video and audio that I could work with. Which the only handicap there was a lot of it is Walt Disney playing Walt Disney. But even in some of that and plenty of others, there's a notion of cadence to the man, and that true sense that he believed everything that he said about his projects, and he completely embraced the possibilities of wonder in the movies that he was going to make, as well as the rides he was going to come up with, and the things that he was going to build. So I had a great roadmap in order to search it out. There's a bit of a vocal cadence and a rhythm that Mr. Disney had. It took a while to figure out, but a lot of the little anecdotes we found specifically from the likes of Richard Sherman, and were already in the play in the screenplay. For example, like Walt's cough. Walt smoked 3 packs a day, and Richard Sherman, and was in the screenplay as well, is that you knew. He said you always knew when Walt was coming to a visit your office because you could hear him coughing, from down by the elevator. So you're able to put that kind of stuff into it, and it just ends up being, one of the delightful cards in the deck.
I like that you use breadcrumbs. Because I think it makes me think of Theseus of the Minotaur, and the fact that P.L. Travers was so fascinated with myth and was a searcher all her life. So it was very breadcrumbing, my search for her. She went everywhere you can imagine. She was like going into a maze. And round some corners you'd find this terrible monster, and round another corner you'd find a sort of beaten child. So she was the most extraordinary combination of things. And I suppose that was the scary thing, because in films, I don't know whether my colleagues would agree, but we often get to play people who are emotionally or at least morally consistent in some way. And she wasn't consistent in any way. So you would not know what you would get from one moment to the next. So that you could have had a very close moment with her on one day, and I got this from her friends. And then the next day they might have gone to see her, and she would have treated them as if... It's like that moment that Kelly created and invented with Paul Giamatti's character, when she says, you're the only American I've ever liked. And he says, oh really, how fascinating, why? Will you tell me why? She says, no. I don't want to tell you any more about that. Now you're just asking too much. Go away.
Now, you know what you do with breadcrumbs, don't you? You feed the birds, the birds, the birds, the birds, the birds, the birds away.
I'll tell you what is interesting. P.L. Travers likened, she used to talk a lot about Buffalo Bill. And while I was replaying her and discovering what she was, while I was researching her, I found out that she referred to Mary Poppins in very similar ways. She had understood that there was a spot of Zen mastery in the way in which she worked, but also that, and this is my theory, but I think that because women have traditionally been locked out of the superstructures or the power structures that we all live in, Buffalo Bill's a very good example, because I've always thought that Nanny McPhee was essentially a Western, only set in a domestic environment, and she felt the same way about Mary Poppins. So there's a very real connection in the sense that the outsider comes into the place where there is difficulty and solves the problem using unorthodox methods, and then must leave. That's a Western, and because women don't have that kind of power, the Western form, which is a myth, an essential myth, what she would have called an essential myth, emerges in the female world in the nursery. Is it not rather nice for all of us who've been so well brought up and we're all so bloody polite all the time, Americans particularly, to see someone being rude? It's bliss, isn't it? I think we act quite a lot of the time in sort of conflict with what we really feel.
That's a stupid thing to say.
How much did we enjoy that? We loved that.
So rude to celebrate rudeness.
We can carry on like this for a long, long time.
The nature of the surprises that came down the fact was that really coming from Diane about how much is this a regular dad this guy was. I mean, Disneyland itself came about because he used to spend every Saturday with his two daughters. And after a while, here in LA, he ran out of places that he could take his two daughters. There was a pony rides over where the Beverly Center is now, and there was the merry-go-round in Griffith Park. But after that, that was it. And he was sitting eating peanuts on a park bench in Griffith Park, and the girls were on the merry-go-round. I said, yeah, there really should be a place dads could take their daughters on a Saturday in LA. And from that, Disneyland was born. So that connection that he had through very tight family, his brother Roy, his mom and dad who were a part of his life as soon as he had money, that was it. And also the fact that he was sadly a victim of the times. He smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, and he died of lung cancer. That's just another one of the grim realities of that's the way the world operated back then.
You're a funny guy. Did you have any thoughts on that, and will you do a third saving movie?
I like to think of it as a trilogy. There's got to be some era of history that we can explore. It seems to be moving forward. I'd like to play Saving John DeLorean. I have no idea. John DeLorean invented the car. Okay, never mind. I got nothing. I did my best.